The first season of Glee is expertly designed. The first season is, I'm gonna say it, a masterpiece of television. It's wild. It is so extremely good. It's almost frustrating just how expertly crafted season one is. Like, from the very beginning, like, the amount of foresight and vision that Glee had is extraordinary to truly consider. Like the first episode. What the fuck, dude? Like, the last episode makes good on all of the promises and yearning of the pilot. That's really incredible. The first episode ends with "Don't Stop Believin'," which is the song they sang at regionals in the season finale. And not only does the pilot end with "Don't Stop Believin'," but it ends with, like, everybody who's in that auditorium eventually joins the Glee Club. Like, you have your core misfits on stage, but in the background you got Santana watching, and even Puck peeks in and, like, ugh, scoffs, turns around in disgust. Quinn is there too. Everyone, they eventually all end up joining. Like, it's like, how the fuck did you do this? How did you do this, man? The first season of Glee is a masterpiece of television. Glee, 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 Glee. It's interesting. How do you really approach a show like Glee to analyze it? I like to analyze teen drama. Most of the shows that I analyze don't seem to ever get some sort of special consideration. They're never taken seriously. No one ever tries to really react poetically to teen dramas, but Glee is an exception. Glee, just like Buffy, just like Gilmore Girls, has a lot of analysis that has been written about it. A lot of fairly serious analysis as well. There's a great amount of analysis about how inclusive the show is, about the queerness of Glee, about the theatricality of Glee. Glee has been properly studied, I would say. There's even enough analysis about, like, the cursed history of the show. This is a series that has been properly studied, and I'm not sure really needs the "your cult boyfriend" treatment, but fuck it. Let's see what we can do. Let's see if I can say anything useful or helpful. A great deal of this show is about inclusivity. I love that it is about championing misfits and underdogs, but I would definitely question the sincerity of that, because Glee knows that it's hitting all of the correct heartstrings. Remember when I said it's frustratingly well designed? These kids are so achingly desperate that, like, I hate that I can't help but feel for each and every one of them in their own unique way. It hits all of the proper marks. Theatricality, I think, is probably where the show gets interesting for me. I think that the easiest way, what I like to do is postmodern analysis mostly, and theatricality is how you get to that. So, Glee is a jukebox musical set in a teen drama framework. And musical, why would the musical work so well within a teen drama? Well, because teen dramas are about exaggerated emotions. Teen dramas are about hypersensitive characters acting in extremely melodramatic ways to literally everything. It's life or death when you're a teenager. And if you shine an even greater spotlight upon that and make them sing a Journey song explaining just how desperate they feel, that doesn't betray the moment, doesn't betray the emotion of the blueprint of teen drama. In fact, it amplifies it. So it's really an amplification of teen drama, of teen feelings, of angst. It's an amplification of that, and that's why the musical works so well here. That's why the musical works so well in general, but it's such a forgiving kind of atmosphere, considering that it is a high school one. And I also believe that a lot of teenagers simply are theatrical, or at least performative. I believe all people are performative, but I think it's most noticeable within teenagers, because they're figuring out which role they want to occupy in this grand thing called the human existence. So they're trying on new faces, new attitudes, new personalities, as if it's fashion, which is fine. That's not meant to imply that teenagers are in any way, like, vacuous. No, like, this is what we all go through and what we all do. So, like, theatricality, or at least being performative as if everything is theater, I think lends itself beautifully to a coming of age story. Ryan Murphy is the creator of Glee. Ryan Murphy is a guy who I've been probably dancing around for a couple years. For as long as I've done television analysis, you have to cover Ryan Murphy. You can't ignore him. He's impossible to ignore. He's made that so. A controversial figure who is an auteur, an absolute television auteur, on a level with Joss Whedon. Joss Whedon actually directs one of the episodes of Glee's first season, called Dream On, with Neil Patrick Harris. But he's on a level with Joss Whedon. He's on a level with Amy Sherman Palladino. He's on a level with possibly even Darren Star. Like, he is a television auteur. You know, he's the real deal. He's the absolute real deal. I think that he has been accused of being superficial and exploitative, and I don't think that Glee season 1 is innocent of that. But nor do I think television should be. Like, I don't think those are really huge flaws. Not necessarily. Glee exploits the songs that it uses, it exploits the angst that it features, it exploits the talent and beauty of its characters, and the comedy of every morbid situation. It exploits everything for some sort of immediate response from the audience. And it's superficial insofar as camp is superficial. There's a large part of this show that is camp, right? And I think that's where the queerness is derived, because camp and queerness go hand in hand. And Glee's camp, I don't think, is cringe. I think it's more queer than cringe, which is like an interesting balancing act. But the first season pulls it off extremely well. And there are parts of this show that I do think approached true, really interesting art. Since I just finished the finale, the one that's on my mind right now that I'm like, holy shit, this was beautifully designed. Like, the whole season's beautifully designed. But I'll go into that in a second. But this one sequence was just like, oh my God, Ryan Murphy, Glee, all of you, fucking wow, dude, take a bow. That was when Vocal Adrenaline did their Bohemian Rhapsody at regionals, and you got Jonathan Groff on stage, and like really, really impressive stage choreography, incredible costume design. You know, and Jonathan Groff probably has one of the greatest voices, the best voice of my generation, like Broadway, but best voice. He's an incredible guy. Seeing him sing his song all passionate and stuff, and you know in the pit of your stomach that the new directions, that our underdog heroes, our band of misfits, our band of outsiders, that they're going to lose. But it's juxtaposed, it's contrasted with Quinn Fabray giving birth while Puck and Mercedes like watch, you know. So it's intercut with that. So you'll have Jesse singing a line like, sometimes I wish I'd never been born at all, and it goes directly to Quinn giving birth to Beth. You know, and like Mama Mia and Mama Mia, let me go, nothing really matters, nothing really matters. And then you're playing with this weird, this really weird poetic sense of like, this is when camp becomes poetic. This is like the crossroads between glamour and gloom. And we've seen firsthand how hard it is for young misfits out there. And we can only imagine what Beth's life will be like. And we saw just how far everyone's come. It's such a beautiful moment, such a beautiful part, just beautifully put together. And since Bohemian Rhapsody is an operatic song, and Glee is very complicated in the sense that, like, it not only uses the music that it chooses to amplify the emotion of the moment, but the music itself, obviously it gives lyricism to the images, but it also gives a sense of grandeur. And when you have a song like Bohemian Rhapsody, which, like I said, is operatic, which is very theatrical, which is a very like all-encompassing, almost overwhelming and suffocating kind of rock song, like, you are seeing a tidal wave of like experiences through that number, through that sequence. And I was just like, my God, dude. Ryan Murphy, you fucking auteur. Am I gonna call him a genius? I don't know, man. Season 1 was a masterpiece. My first introduction to Ryan Murphy was watching Nip Tuck. I watched probably 3 or 4 seasons of Nip Tuck, and, it was okay. I watched maybe an episode or 2 of American Horror Story. I don't know what to say about that, but, Glee Season 1, and full disclosure, I have seen this season before, but it's been a very long time. I've seen parts of Season 2, probably out of order, but I don't really remember season 2 at all. I remember Darren Chris. I remember a really cool a cappella version of Destiny's Child. That is literally all I remember about season 2, but I will watch season 2, so don't worry. That's going to be the next analysis video. Ryan Murphy could be a genius, but I don't fucking know yet. Not really. Not unless he could duplicate the mastery, right? And there's some problems here. There are some grave problems here. I love this story of underdogs. I love this story of misfits. This is truly a John Hughes inspired tale. This is really John Hughes for the late 2000s, early 2010s. Like this is pure. This is great. I mean, this is the Breakfast Club for the year 2009. It's really lovely, but I was saying how expertly designed this season was, and it was expertly designed, but it was so expertly designed that I don't want or care about following these characters anymore because they progressed so beautifully. Every single character completed some fundamental arc that was, I think, emotional. I think it was gripping, and I thought that most of the characters were captivating, and they were fully fleshed out, at least as fleshed out as I need them to be for the narrative. Even Sue Sylvester had a massive arc, an emotional one that was actually full of pathos by the very fucking end. Even Santana and Brittany, they changed enough. They changed just enough for me. You know, like Rachel came so far, Finn came so far. Oh my god, fucking Artie, Tina, Mercedes, they all came so fucking far. Quinn is my favorite, and I think I'll spend a little bit of time on Quinn in a few minutes. But every character came so far. Schuster to everyone. Like it's so frustratingly well designed because every character completed everything that I wanted to see them complete. You know, the rest is all just hope and nostalgia. Um, and pain. They completed everything I wanted them to. I don't want to see these characters complete anything else. Like the only possible thing I can see someone wanting more of is just to see them win regionals, but even then that's like who cares, because they said that even though they lost they won anyway, and they convinced the audience of that. I was convinced that they won even though they lost. You know, so like it is such a complete, every character completed their arc so fully that there's no room for improvement. Positively, like the only way these characters could improve is if they all inherited a bunch of negative attributes. You know, like and improve isn't the right word. The only way that these characters can progress is if they inherit negative attributes. Or else like why do I care? Like think about the end of Dawson's Creek season 1, or the end of Gossip Girl season 1, or Beverly Hills 90210 season 1. I wanted to see Dawson Leary continue because he had a lot of learning left to do by the end of season 1. I think even Rachel Berry has matured to a great extent that like that's as much as I ever wanted to see her mature by the end of season 1. Like what can possibly happen? You know, Chuck Bass, there was a lot of room for improvement in Gossip Girl. Blair Waldorf, Serena Vanderwoods, and you wanted to see all of them like improve and continue to mature. Here in Glee, they did all that in one season, which makes the season really incredible. There's a lot of substance here. I don't agree that it's a superficial show. I think that it plays with superficial tropes in order to tell like a really expertly crafted tale of misfit redemption. It's a celebration of misfits, whatever. But it did its job so well that I don't care to see season 2, because this was like everything. This was defeat, this was victory, this was romance, this was heartbreak, this was the underdog coming, like all these different misfits from all these different walks of life and like social castes. This was social stratification undone. This was everything. Like everybody came so far this season. Like I don't care. Everybody did it. And when I say I don't care, I just mean I this is it. This is like where it should stop. This is where it should end, because every character completed the arc promised within the pilot episode. I don't think that within a television show you should have the character complete like the overwhelming arc in one season. I think that's supposed to take multiple seasons, especially if it's about coming of age. By the end of this, I feel all these kids are like relatively mature. Like they learned a fucking lot, and when I say I don't care, I mean that's as much as I want to see of them, because they successfully completed the toughest arcs of the teenage experience. Like they already did it, and like that's my major criticism of this show is that the first season was too good. Like it was too full, it was too complete. Like I can't even think of loose narrative threads. Like everything was stitched together beautifully. Like there's nothing that doesn't add up here. And that's typically why you'd want to see a second season. But I don't have that here. I have a perfectly made fucking quilt, a perfectly made blanket that is there to comfort you. Like Glee is a very comforting show, and I think that this first season might be the only necessary season. And I'm gonna make my hypothesis is this: I'm going to spend the rest of this series of videos where I analyze Glee saying it shouldn't have had more than one season. This should have been a very rare case, maybe the only case ever, of an extremely successful show that only went on for one season, because this was a perfectly crafted one. It hit every beat, dude. It was like the opening like 12 or 13 episodes are focusing on Rachel and Finn and Will and Quinn and Puck, and like it's like, wow, I'm getting to know all these people. In the back nine, we focus on like the supporting members until everyone becomes super colorful and super interesting, and they all have their kind of miniature arcs that coincide, and like their arcs run parallel lines with this, which is demonstrative of the human experience, and especially a teenage experience, when you think that you're so different from everyone, but you actually are on parallel narrative journeys, and then you can all like peak together, climax together, and reach your arc together on that stage, just kind of saying, look at us, man, look at the journey we went on, right? Like this show did all that. It's incredible. My favorite character is Quinn Fabray, because if I'm talking about transformed characters, like I just talked about arcs completing, Quinn Quinn is the most transformed character. And while I think that Leah Michelle clearly has the best voice featured on the show, either her or Jonathan Groff have the best voices featured on the show. Fun fact, when I watched this originally, it was on television back in 2010, and the reason that I watched it, this was way before I was really into teen drama. In fact, I was 19 or 20 and probably was at the age where I wanted nothing to do with teen television, because I wanted to think of myself as like super mature and adult. And it was only like later that I was like, hey, let's go revisit those shows. Oh my god, I'm talking very fast, but you understand what I'm trying to do. uh, the reason I watched it is because I was a huge fan of Spring Awakening. Spring Awakening is probably my favorite Broadway musical of all time, and if you know, you know, Jonathan Groff and Leo Michelle were on Spring Awakening, and they're like legendary. And I was like, what? They sing together again on television? I gotta see this. And it did not let me down when I watched it years and years ago. There's something very special about hearing Jonathan Groff and Leo Michelle sing to each other. Like that's like a real fucking sonic treat. It's lovely. So even though I think Leo Michelle and Jonathan Groff and Idina Menzel have the best voices on the entire show, Diana Agron gives the best performance, hands fucking down. And I think her character is the most fully fleshed out and fully considered, because like if we compare her from the pilot to the end, she completely transformed. She was completely dissected. Like if this show did a postmodern deconstruction of any archetype, it was the head cheerleader. It was Quinn Fabray. It was the head cheerleader who was the president of the celibacy club, getting knocked up, getting kicked out of her house, um, getting adopted by this band of misfits who she wouldn't have been caught dead associating with in the pilot episode. But she becomes the champion of these misfits, and she gives birth at the very end of the season, and the part that I feel is like the most artistically rich, with the Bohemian Rhapsody song over it, intercut within it. And within that, you are seeing the most transformed character of Glee being Quinn Fabray, giving birth to a new era of teen television. And I feel like Diana Agron's performance, I think, is like she understood the assignment, because when it's meant to be camp and vicious and comedic, like she nails that perfectly. And I think the show is a comedy more than anything else, but she nails the comedy perfectly. But when it asks a bit more, she treads the line so elegantly. She's a dazzling actress to watch, like, between the serious and the unserious. As my friend, who I had a conversation about this on my channel before, Jupiter from Neopunk FM, described Glee to me as like the most serious, unserious show ever, or a very or seriously unserious. I think that an example of that at its best is Quinn Fabray in season one. A lot of emotion, a lot of pathos, but it never betrays like the unseriousness of the safety net that is always underneath these heavier scenes of emotion that could fail, that could absolutely fail given like the melodrama of it all. That's why you always have an unserious safety net. There's seriousness and then an unserious safety net. And seriousness, if it doesn't work, the show's so well designed that it just falls onto an unserious safety net of a joke or like a jukebox song. Oh, works every fucking time. But Quinn Fabray never really needed the safety net, is what I'm saying. When she needed to be serious, she was, and it was wonderful to see. Uh, that I don't know. Quinn's a character who got under my skin in a really good way. Got into my heart in a good way, because of how transformed she got. Um, and it wasn't like like a massive like physical transformation, right? Because it was all personal. Of course she like had a pregnant belly or whatever, but what I'm saying is like just the way that she carried herself. um the misfit was just such a natural part of who she was. Like the misfit is a natural part of every kid. To suppress being a misfit to be more popular seems to be the dream of a lot of kids, but I think being a misfit is natural to the human condition, and like someone as perfect looking as Quinn Fabray embracing that, I thought was really um, nicely done. 22 episodes in this season. Not every episode's a banger, but every episode has something that's incredibly integral to the overall structure. Like, it is so annoyingly well made. It's beautifully well made. To repeat my problem with it, it's so well made, and the arcs are completed so completely that there's nowhere to go from here but downhill. Like, that's how it's set up. Like every character matured beautifully. Every character became a better, more accepting person, proud to be a misfit. Even the in crowd, like Quinn and Puck and Santana and Brittany, like, who never thought they had a misfit part of them, were liberated by expressing the misfit that they had suppressed and kept inside. like where do I want any of these people to go? No, I don't want to see them graduate. I don't want to see some of these kids fail. I like season 1 ended in such a wonderful way. Why? Oh. And that serious unserious tone, I don't think it's like unique to Glee, obviously. I don't think it's a Glee invention. That's why I'm not sure if Ryan Murphy is a genius, because I think he took the tone of Mean Girls in 2004 and applied it to Glee in a large way, and then added like the queer theatricality to it. Like it's kind of a mixture of a lot of great ideas. I don't think there's anything that is just like wow, the unique vision of it. I think that the tone is very much so of its time, and I think if you were to watch Mean Girls again, you'd be like, oh, this is the exact same tone. Like, it's a comedy first, a comedy forward film, but there is heart to it as well. There's camp, there's the serious and the unserious dichotomy. Like, it's there. I think that, like, this show, I don't think it is very I don't actually think it is very innovative, like, especially since it's a jukebox musical as well. Jukebox musicals are derivative. Like, that's why people criticize jukebox musicals. There's no, like, true originality within a jukebox musical. You are just applying a song that already exists to a different situation and exploiting both in the process. But, like, I don't necessarily have a problem with what is derivative, because like, someone asked me once for like a proper definition of postmodernism, and I said that, like, postmodern art, like, by definition, kind of has to be derivative and kind of has to rely on a pre-existing text. Which I think can make something even more interesting in the long run. My overall point with that was, like, Ryan Murphy is not inventing anything here. He is simply amplifying. He's not an inventor. He's an amp. He's an amplifier. He's a Marshall stack. He's like, that's what he is. So I don't know if he's a fucking genius, but my God, did he know how to make a season of television? And I don't want what I just said to sound too critical. I think there's something magical um about repurposing pre-existing things, right? I mean, that's essentially what hip hop is, as an art form. It's what a lot of art forms are as art forms: pre-existing melodies put together in new and interesting ways to reach a brand new sort of sincerity within it. Now, sincerity, I don't think is a huge motivation of Glee as a television show, but we are looking for something different here, and it is found. Like, there is something here to Glee, and it might be it's shameless fun. Like, that might simply be it. Like, there are no airs of pretentiousness. There's no pseudo intellectualism here. There's no, like, there's no fakery, really, at least when it comes to, like, intelligence or deepness. Like, it's not a show that's telling you that it's deeper than it is, or anything like that. um it feels like it's a show that knows itself suspiciously well, which is why you're always trying to figure out, like, Ryan Murphy's, like, the card he has up his sleeve, because, like, the show does feel duplicitous, because it seems to be just so comfortable with the camp that it presents that you don't really trust it. I don't This show is making me probably sound a little crazy, but man, I really, really liked this season. I think that Quinn is honestly the only character worth analyzing this season. And then the rest, you can look at them as a whole and be like, misfit attributes, misfit kids, stock archetypes. There's really not a lot of deconstruction going on here, apart from the head Cheerio, apart from Quinn. She's the only character who is fully transformed and investigated. The rest kind of stay true to their archetypal definitions, and they reach their arc um through standard lines. Like, no one has an arc that's crazy outside of Quinn Fabray. The rest all have, like, standard lines, and they don't really cross too much. And the show's not about deconstructing archetypes. It's about the unification of them. So Quinn is the only one who's really interesting to talk to. If we want to talk about a character being like deep in the first season, it's Quinn. Quinn is easily the most punished archetype of them all, the most punished character. She was like defamed, dethroned, deflowered. Like so much happened to her. There was a lot of like poetry to her character, which is why I spent some a considerable amount of time on her, especially when compared to anyone else. But like, what do you want me to say about Mercedes? What do you want me to say about Tina? What do you want me to say about Finn? Honestly, we've seen all of those different characters before, and this isn't Dawson's Creek. This isn't Gossip Girl or The OC or Beverly Hills 90210. Nothing different is done with them. Nothing. Kurt isn't the first gay character to ever be on a teen drama. They don't do anything interesting with him. And I'm not even saying that critically. Like, it works so well, they didn't overcomplicate it. And they focused their deconstruction on the pretty blonde girl who would be like the last person you'd expect to be punished this much by a show that's supposed to be this fucking fun, right? Like that works too. That was greatly appreciated. I'm just kind of justifying why I haven't analyzed the rest, and also how it's so well designed. They didn't convolute it with a bunch of different deconstructions, but that's also the problem. Since you didn't convolute it with all these deconstructions, you're gonna have to do that later on. Then I'm gonna be like, what the fuck? We completed all of these character arcs in the first season. Like, what am I wanting to see them do? Like, I know that Kurt will find a guy that he really loves, but like, do I actually have to see that? No, I can just imagine that it happens. And like, there's a tragedy like in the thing that a lot of gay kids relate to is going to a school in a small town and literally not knowing any other gay people. Like there's a tragedy within that, but there's the triumph of seeing Kurt be accepted by a misfit family, by a found family, by adopted families. It's about a lot, but none of it is particularly super sophisticated. But just take a step back and look at this episode progression, look at this structure. It is just masterfully designed. Like, there's nothing amateur hour about any of this stuff. It's just beautifully made. It hits every beat exactly when it's supposed to, in a way that doesn't feel like paint by numbers, but it technically is. Like it's clever. It is very clever, but this is probably like a perfect example to show to a group of aspiring television writers and showrunners and be like, this is how you make a 22 episode long season of network television. This is how you do it. Because like a textbook could be written on how this is good, on how every decision made in this first season is informed by and informs the next. I'm so impressed. So impressed. It's not genius. It's not genius. It's a masterpiece. It's not genius because I feel like the show, since it was network, it was Fox. I normally cover shows on WB and stuff like that. Fox can't be too alienating. So this show can't get too celebratory of its misfits. It just can't. It can't risk alienating a huge margin of its audience. Right? So we're going to get a kind of sanitized version of the misfit. But when you go into it knowing that there are limitations on how much they can celebrate misfit identities, then you love it for what it was able to accomplish and how it accomplished it. It's just that roadblock prevents me from saying that Ryan Murphy is a genius. I think he is an auteur of television, a true artist for sure, but I haven't seen anything genius yet. I could be absolutely wrong in my reading of Glee as like there should have only been one season, but we'll see. We'll see. I'll be back talking about season 2. Watch. I got a shoe around here. I will like fucking eat my shoe if season 2 is better than the first season. I will absolutely do it. I swear to God, I will. I'll be honest about it too, because this show is the only show I can think of in the history of the fucking planet where I'm like, maybe one season was it. Maybe that was all you needed. Of course, that couldn't happen. It was it was quite a phenomenon in its time period. And just for the record, I know a lot of people are interested in the cursed history of Glee. I think the only time I'm ever going to talk about that is Corey Monteith with his death, because the show actually has to in real time respond to his passing. I don't think I'll be talking about Mark Salling or Puck, whoever the fuck he is in real life. I don't think I'll be talking about him. I won't be talking about Naya Rivera. I won't be talking about a lot of like the juicy stuff. Like I think a lot of Glee videos are exploiting. I'm not interested in that. Only if it actually informs the show. So we're not going to be talking about a lot of the juicier stuff. If that's what you want to watch, this is not the place for that. And even when it comes to Finn's death, I'm not going to go into the specifics of Corey's death. We're going to talk about how it informed the show and how the show responded to it. And I am interested to see how it does that. Like maybe season 1 of Glee is so good because it's the only season where all the cast members were behaving, and the writers too, and everyone was like on the same page. Like who knows? Who fucking knows, man? I can't wait to see season 2 though. It's just I feel like I'm gonna be really, really hypercritical of the rest of the seasons because this one was too good. Too good. You didn't leave me wanting to see anything more. Like every character came as far as I ever want to see them come. They all had a happy ending. You can't do that in television unless you're never coming back. Like I can't think of a single season of any fucking show except for arguably the last of a lot of these shows where every character ended like, man, we came so far. We're so happy and in love, and everybody ended up with everybody that you wanted them to end up with. Like, what the fuck is that? Like, you even like, why, dude? Dude, you can't do that. You gotta leave people. I say you can't do that because, like, I it's so well made that it's fucking giving me a brain aneurysm because it completes all the arcs and I'm so thrilled with it. But like if you're looking to continue the show, that's to me where it gets dangerous, Like it's so perfectly made. That's the problem. Unless the show ditches like the artistry and all the drama for the comedy, which the show can do that. I think, like I said, it's a comedy forward show. I hope they don't because that's what made the show powerful. In the occasional moments where it was powerful, it really did work. It really did work. So I don't know. What I found most impressive about Glee season 1 was its structure, its design, the careful attention and narrative that Ryan Murphy and the writers paid, like such a careful amount of attention to all the different narratives, and they all paid off, dude. All of them. And lastly, the thing that impressed me most was Quinn Fabray was Diana Agron was that character. Just great character. Mwah, Hall of Fame character. But man, I'm worried. I'm anxious about season 2. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you. I'm your cult boyfriend. Okay, well, okay. What do I normally talk about in these analysis videos? Like what it represented to culture. Honestly, Glee Glee's just not representing anything that wasn't already represented yet. It's just like a really good it's a really good expression. It's a really good like teen show. That's all. It's not doing anything. If it comes to like the ethos of the 2010s, Glee massively important, sure, but I would think that shows have already covered like The Vampire Diaries and Pretty Little Liars, I think said a lot more about the teenage experience or even about the human condition of the 2010s. Glee is not that deep, which trust me is fine. This is great television, but I'm not confident in how rich and rewarding my analysis videos will be. I'm gonna try my fucking hardest, but I don't want to be dishonest either. I don't want to spend like a half hour being like, you see, and that's why juxtaposition and non-diegetic music. That's why sonics, like sonically pummeling. Like I don't want to be a pseudo intellectual on this. I want to be like very real and speaking in a very real way. This is the most simplistic analysis I've done in a very long time for a teen drama because it's the most simplistic one I've covered so far. Which once again is fucking fine, dude. Like it was expertly crafted, very well made. Um I'm thrilled by it. It tried to cast a very wide net, and I think it succeeded in getting a lot of people interested in the show. Like, I'm so impressed by this. I was so impressed by season one. My only problem is this might be all I need. Like honestly, think about it. Think about it. Think about the way the first season of Glee ends. You're like, wow, they're a family. They all came together. Rachel and Finn are happy together. Oh man, Will just kissed the fucking redhead. Everyone's happy. Oh, Sue cried. Sue cried watching the kids sing. Oh my god, everyone came full circle, fucking full arc. What could I possibly want now? There's nothing more I want from the show. Like, those are things that if you were wanting to keep the show going, make this a show with longevity, like Sue would cry at the end of season 2, and like he'd kiss the redhead and tell her that he loved her or whatever at the end of season 3, and like Finn and Rachel like would be broken up at this time, or like something would like there'd be something that I would still want. It gave me everything I already wanted. Like, everything I wanted was given to me here. Quinn had a baby. Puck even seemed mature with Quinn looking at the baby. Like, there's nothing more I want. Every character came literally as far as I ever wanted them to go over 6 seasons. I don't see the point anymore. You did it too fucking well, guys. Like, you showed me everything I could possibly want to see, and I'm very grateful for it. But I will say, like, what are my favorite numbers? I should do that each season that I do. Bohemian Rhapsody, I think, was like the most like artful one. There's the most poetry there, but the one that I would genuinely just like listen to, that I would love to listen to, is, oh my god, Adina Menzel and Leah Michele singing Poker Face. That is extraordinary. That is so lovely, so good. I like Gaga. Gaga's really good, but I just love that rendition. Wow. And there's a lot of power there. It's about amplifying moments, right? You know, which makes you question like how good the writing would be without it, but the whole point of the show is that that it has the music, because that moment would just be, oh mom, I wish you didn't go. I wish we had like the memories that you want to have, but since we amplify it with the song, it's unforgettable. You exploit the emotion of the moment and exploit the song in order to kind of make a core memory in the viewer's head. It's really good stuff. Thank you for watching me, dude. I'll see you at season 2.